Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Boys and girls, what is going on? Happy Saturday morning to all of you. This is the Club of the Man 1993 catching up on here. It's Saturday. I know this video is like 6 days late, but again, as always, never late than never. Just busy time again, but again, they happen for me. I feel very recharged. Last night was the first night I got to sleep in I would say 3 weeks, because the past couple weekends we were working on the fence in our backyard, and now it's up. Of course, a few little tweaks whenever, some other day, but I can finally just relax this week, get caught up on content, and of course, as I'm recording this, I am also posting the shorts from night one of the WWE draft. Which, once I get those up, I will go live. As for both nights of the draft, I want to do those streams live, since it is the draft. Even though I would say night one, not much really happened, really. It was just some people staying, a couple people moving, a couple of NXT call-ups. But we'll talk about that when we do, in fact, get to the draft and other things, of course, that are going on as well. Again, I'm going to try to get some other content as well this weekend. I want to get back to the video games so bad, so maybe I'll get back to those this weekend too. We'll see. And of course, I do have another little goofy rant video I want to make as well. As well too as talk about some other news things in wrestling as well. So hopefully there will be some more content coming this weekend right to your way. But yeah, we're going to first talk about this past week's episode of Raw, which I know this graphic over here is going to need to be updated, but it will be updated, of course, for the next stream. This is my review, though, of the April 22nd, 2024 edition. It took place just about 3 or 4 hours west of me in Columbus, Ohio. This is, of course, the final episode before the draft. We have one more episode, of course, as well, until Raw, until the next pay-per-view, which is Backlash, taking place next Saturday, May 4th, 2024, all the way out in France. Looks like it's going to be a solid show. I don't expect it to be like the best show of the year, but we have some solid matches. I think it'll make it a fun show to watch, but probably nothing to really write home about at first. But we are going to roll in. We're going to talk about the show and address maybe a couple other things along the way. This episode of Raw, though, I have mixed feelings about it. I thought it was solid, but part of me also thought it was more so on the decent side. I feel like it was a kind of a filler episode. Not much really happened. We did get a new women's world champion, of course, crowned, since Rhea Ripley had to vacate the title last week due to injury. A lot of people are thinking that she'll be back for SummerSlam. I'm hearing 8 to 12 weeks, but we will see. And there, of course, also is another injury in the Judgment Day that I just found out some more news about, though, before hitting the record button for this video. So that will be addressed as well in this video, too. I will briefly talk about that. But we're going to roll in also and go from there. Hopefully for a fun weekend to get a lot of content to come up with. I also want to mention, too, one of the reasons why I did take a while to the Raw reviews, because I did want to get match card predictions uploaded for Backlash. And despite the fact I was very, very late on those, as of this moment, within the first 24, 36 hours, I got almost 800 views on that sucker. So I didn't expect that. Again, they were very kind of cheap, last minute thrown together graphics. So thank you guys, of course, for the support. It's got me up to 2,026 subscribers too. And again, I know I'm not super gold driven with the subscribers right now, but it's nice to see my momentum is still going right now on the channel. So I'll make sure to mention this, of course, when I go live, maybe either today or tomorrow for SmackDown. But thank you guys for sure for that. But anyways, Raw this week. Like I said, kind of filler. Some stuff I'm going to kind of go like breeze right through it. The other stuff, of course, I might take a few minutes to talk about, but it's probably not going to be a super long review. We'll see. As I always say, I'll say it's not going to be super long, then it ends up being longer. And I'm going to say we got a lot to talk about, then it doesn't end up being as long as I thought it would be. So it's here in the middle. And also, if you hear noises as well, I let my dog come in and chill with me too, Sabbath, which you will remember, he was a little tiny guy. Now he's not so tiny anymore. He's not even a year old. He's about 9 months old. So, yep, I got a little special guest here by my side. I can't lift him up anymore, so, we'll go from there. But anyways, Raw. Let's talk about it. The show opened up with they're showing up some of the women who are arriving for the main event with the women's battle royale. I kind of don't like that they did a battle royale. I wish they would have done some sort of like a tournament or something, or even like 2 triple threats, and then like a 1-on-1 match, or somewhere like they do qualifying matches like a fatal 4-way, like kind of how they did in 2016. Whenever Finn Balor had to vacate the title, like, just something along those lines. Like, a battle royale where, like, basically anybody can win, I'm like, I wasn't crazy about the idea to begin with. But, of course, we get some people arriving, and, of course, the two they emphasize, of course, for sure, were Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan, who were 2 of the favorites, of course, to win that battle royale. The first segment was main event Jey Uso coming out, and then, of course, he barely got to speak before Damian Priest came out. And Priest came out and told Jey, yo, take it easy. I'm just here to talk. And he puts him over for being as popular as he is. And he mentions a story about how they went to war at one point last year. But there was one specific night where Jey whooped his ass. And he told him in the locker room he earned his respect. So they went out, got some drinks, had a kind of like a night out. He knows he paid the bill. And he told Jey that made him. He said to Jey that they were right. They were basically next. Well, he was half right about that though. Now he says that he was next, and the title proves it. And Jey is just the first to get fed to him. And Jey cuts him off though and says, "Come back so I can holler at you." And Priest says doesn't know what he can say other than that, but go ahead. And Jey says, is that what you see? Another tag team guy? Another Uso? Well, that's strong talk coming from the leader of the Judgment Day, a position he only has because because Mommy got hurt. And next time you see her, by the way, tell her I said hi, which of course was, was funny the way he was delivering and whatnot. And that also now makes him Dominik Mysterio's bitch. And then Damian did what he did. He cashed in, won the world title at WrestleMania. But Uso is not being fed to Priest. Priest is being fed to him because he will be the next world heavyweight champion. Yeet! And then that's when the rest of Judgment Day hit the ring and attack. But then, of course, Jey super kick got out of the way, and Jey super kicked Damian Priest when he was going for JD McDonough. It was a fun opening segment, but again, to me, not saying I don't care for this match, but it just feels like I would love to see Jey Uso get the world title. I think he definitely deserves it, especially with how over he is. Like, he is over, again, we've seen over before. I feel like he's, over on a whole other level. And I feel like at some point, you gotta capitalize him and not have him be just, a standard first feud for a champion or something like that. That's what I'm feeling with this. So I really don't think, I still think, even though there are people thinking this could lead to Finn Balor winning the world title at some point, which also, newsflash too, Finn Balor did announce after Raw this week, he did sign a multi-year deal with a lot of money for WWE. And again, I know Triple H looks at him as one of his guys. For crying out loud, he brought him back to NXT and made him champion again. So I do think there is a chance we could see Finn Balor become champion at some point. But if I'm being honest, I still think Priest is going to be champ till Clash at the Castle in June, and Drew will win the title off of Damian there. That's what I still think is going to happen. To me, it would make sense in the long run. Although, again, CM Punk keeps lurking around and still like being a thorn in his side. Unless, of course, he says, well, maybe a steel cage match so Punk can't interfere. But, I don't know. We'll see. I still think that's the direction they're going with it. Because, like I said, I don't see Priest dropping the title. But, again, it was a good segment. They had good chemistry. It's just that I just still view this as... And also, I still kind of view this as... It still feels like the World Heavyweight title is not as big as the undisputed WWE title. Like, it still feels like a secondary belt. If it's just me. I feel like both world titles should feel the same amount of importance, in my opinion. But that's just me again. I still thought they had solid chemistry. It did entertain me a little. Again, it's just that, just like when you take it all away, it's kind of like, it's kind of a filler match. But I think it will be good. It could be better than we expected when we get to Backlash. But again, we shall wait and see what happens. But that's how we opened up the show. We have the World Tag Title match between Awesome Truth and DIY. The match was fine, but it felt like, just four guys who are all friends having like a friendly competition match. And rather than, there's some people who have fought who are, if they're either friends in real life or storyline-wise friends, normally sometimes that's when they try to bring the best out of each other. I mean, look at, of course, Adam Cole and MJF from All In. And, or even, Tegan Knox and Dakota Kai, which they gotta get back to having a feud again at some point. I think should happen. If, of course, they get on the same brands from the draft, but we'll wait and see. But this one felt like a little slow. It just felt like they were kind of taking it easy on each other, in my opinion. Awesome Truth does retain. Afterwards, though, they did have Johnny Gargano go to shake the hands, but Tommaso Ciampa just rolled out and walked away. Which some people are wondering if that's a tease of a breakup for DIY, or maybe they're going to go their separate brands or whatnot. I don't know if I would do that yet. And my thing is, though, is as much as I love Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, and I like that, they're getting, they haven't given DIY a run on the main roster, which they should. And to me, they should win the tag titles together. I really think that that's a must for both these guys. My thing, though, is I hope that the idea behind it... Hey, Sabbath, get down. Sab! I hope the idea... You kind of saw him there. See how big he's gotten. I'm just hoping that they're not treating this as, a nostalgia act. They're just... I don't want them to just, it's like resetting a series. They're literally, telling the same exact story from NXT. Which, don't get me wrong, it was great, but it's how do you do that differently? You've gone all over the place with them. You had Tommaso be the heel. You had Johnny be the heel. You had this, and this happen. I know it's probably hard to do so, but I feel like they have to do something a little more unique with DIY if they would split them up. And also, if I'm being honest, I think it's way too early to split up Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Again, they were just starting to get some steam as a tag team. Well, again, I think the thing that's hurt them, though, is that theme song that we are. I hate it. Why can't they bring back the that was freaking awesome. Even Sabbath agrees with me. And of course, if you get it in the camera shot, I'm sure he would show his emotion that he doesn't agree with me. But anyways, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling that split yet. I feel like they should have a run with it. Now, if they want to start teasing moments of frustration, over the next year or so, okay, I can kind of take that. But until then, it's too early to split them up. And like I said, don't treat this as a nostalgia act with them. We want something a little bit different when it comes to when they split. I mean, at some point, they're going to have to fight. If anything, I still think, give them maybe 2 years Maybe, I don't know, because they're starting to get up there in age. At some point, they should be a main event of WrestleMania. If I'm being honest. But we'll wait and see. But that was that match that happened there. We also backstage had like a backstage with JD McDonough apologizing to Damian Priest about the miscommunication. But Priest tells him never asked for his he never asked for his help. Obviously, they're showing that there's some cracks in the Judgment Day since Damian's now technically the leader, even though they wouldn't admit that Rhea was the leader. But obviously, they're showing that things are falling apart between them, unfortunately. And then Dominik Mysterio rolls up. Dominik's arm is in a sling, and he says he's not clear to compete, so he brought Santos Escobar to replace him in the tag match that he was supposed to tag with JD to take on Ricochet and Andrade. Of course, Damian isn't happy about it, but Escobar said, don't worry, I will handle it. And Dominik apologizes, but Priest tells him, go handle his business and stay out of his. And JD tries to make nice, but Priest isn't having it and tells them to get their job done tonight. So, Dominik had his arm in a sling, which caught me by surprise. Before I started recording this, though, I did read, though, apparently he may have tore his UCL in his match with Andrade last week. Which, if he does, that means he's probably going to have Tommy John surgery. I know if you're a pitcher in baseball, that's usually about the 12 to 18 month recovery. I think if you're not, maybe like 5-6 months or something like that. I can't remember what the thing is, but that sucks. Especially because they were seemingly teasing something with Dominik and someone else a little later on in the show that could impact like the future of something involved in the women's division, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, that sucks. But it sounds like Sabbath, quit shooting on that. It sounds like they're gonna try to still have him like on screen, at least as a character and not a wrestler. We'll see though how much he can do though, especially since he's in a sling. And if it is true that he does have to have Tommy John surgery, which again, that sucks if that's the case. But he's just a wrestler. He's not a pitcher for baseball, so I don't think he'll be out as long as most players would, if I'm being honest. Well, as like a pitcher in baseball would, if I'm being honest. So, gotta address that in there. Okay, then we had something that I liked what we got first. But then afterwards, I wasn't quite sure. Because we had Imperium come out. And this is the first time Gunther's appeared on TV since he lost the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. He says he took some time away to digest everything that happened. And he knows he elevated the IC title for 666 days and became the greatest champion in its history. And he forever will have his name etched in history, and no one can take that away from him. He was walking around with a target on his back for almost 2 years. And he thanks Sami Zayn because Sami took that pressure off of him. And says now he's not a target. And he's now can be, once again, a hunter. So, in this new era, he wants to go a different direction. And he announces that he is entering himself into the King of the Ring tournament for next month's pay-per-view King of the Ring. Which again, as I haven't mentioned before, I'm very interested to see King of the Ring as a pay-per-view. I've only seen it so far as like a tournament on Raw, and it's felt like a low card like consolation prize to me. As you know, a pay-per-view though, it's got my attention. I'm interested to see, because I never got to experience King of the Ring as a pay-per-view since it was a very old school type thing. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Gunther does declare, which I think if they do want to give Gunther a big victory before he goes for the world title, him being King of the Ring wouldn't be a bad idea. To give him kind of a little bit of a direction. So I already see him as a favorite to win this tournament. So cool with me. Who he'll fight at the end, We'll see. We'll talk about that in a second, as I do have an idea of where they might go with it. But again, I'm not sure if I want that match to be that way, if you know what I mean. But we'll talk about it in just a bit. And look at that. I'm already talking more about the show than I thought I would. But anyways, after Gunther does all that, the New Day come out. And Xavier Woods says he wants to defend King of the Ring, since the last time they did King of the Ring, he won it. He was King Woods for like 3 months, and they dropped the whole thing. Then it makes... eventually it leads to another tag match for the millionth time between the New Day and Imperium. Match was nowhere close to being as... I mean, it was fine, but it was nowhere close to being as good as it was when they had that street fight, which was unreal. And again, how good the feud actually turned out to be. And then the New Day just win with the up, down, down on Giovanni Vinci. And I sit here and I'm still thinking, they kind of did Sabbath. They kind of did Imperium dirty. Like, again, they lost a good amount of their matches as a tag team. They won probably the biggest match they've had, which was that Falls Count Anywhere match. Made them look awesome, as they should. And then they just... It's kind of like that win didn't matter, because they didn't even get a shot to be in the ladder match at WrestleMania. And they're just losing right here again. Which don't matter, because newsflash afterwards, Ludwig Kaiser turned on Giovanni Vinci and beat him down. Afterwards, though, when Ludwig went to the back, he kind of got a nod of approval from Gunther. So that seemed like it was planned for a long time for Ludwig to take out Giovanni like that. It just makes me feel disappointed, because again, since Imperium formed NXT UK, or not, I'll even go as far as back as saying since, at the time, Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner became a tag team, and they eventually did align with Gunther to form Imperium, I've always loved that stable. And I think they got, 2 reigns as tag champs in NXT? Not in NXT UK, but in NXT. I always saw the first one, because the second one was when 2.0 happened. I wasn't watching. But the first one I saw, they really didn't do much to them as tag champions. And when they got drafted over to Raw last year, I felt like Raw was going to become Imperium's show. And again, though, it could be the fact that Vince McMahon got involved again for a few months, and that's, again, just that few months could make them damaged goods again. Imperium, to me, should have been tag team champions at some point. So I am disappointed that they broke them up. I mean, again, I at least feel like Gunther's in great hands. Ludwig seems like someone that, again, how he's been booked, and especially the momentum he got, especially from that drop kick, thing with Kofi, and he even did it to Giovanni as well too. I feel like there is a plan for him long term as well. Vinci, though, it always felt like he was just a third wheel. And even before he formed this tag team, the few matches that Vinci had, where he was Vinci or Eichner, I do see potential in him as well. I don't, though, right now, if I'm being honest, I don't see him being a single star on the main roster. I feel like he's coming out of Imperium with no momentum whatsoever. So I can see him either going back to NXT, or, and again, we will talk about that at some point. Still got to catch up on that as well. Or it wouldn't surprise me if they released him, because they don't really... I just feel like he might be someone who they just have to start from scratch again if they make him a single star. Because I just feel like he's coming out of Imperium with not much at all. I see the potential. But how many people actually want to see Giovanni Vinci get a big singles run right now? Which, as I said, if they want to keep him, I think it's best if they send him back to NXT to repackage. I did hear, though, some people some rumors are saying that they think that they might be replacing Vinci, though, in Imperium. As some people are predicting that William Regal's son, who I believe is Charlie Dempsey, he's part of Drew Gulak's stable at NXT called the No Quarter Catch Crew, or whatever the heck it's called. There's rumors that he could be getting called up and he could possibly join Imperium, which would be unique since, because of their backgrounds and whatnot. The only thing is, though, isn't he the NXT Heritage Cup champion currently, though? So I'm not sure how that would work, but yeah, not the biggest fan of them bringing up Imperium. Again, they never really scratched the surface of them as a tag team. Again, Gunther will be fine. Ludwig will, I think Ludwig, give him maybe about another year, I think Ludwig will start getting a singles push. But Vinci, I'm not so sure about what's going to happen with him. But we have that. We're moving on. We then had you can take go ahead, Seth. Go ahead. We then had Andrade have a video package running down the Judgment Day to make a fool, and says they didn't want a business partner, they just wanted a servant. So that's why he did what he did. Drew McIntyre came out, had a segment. He imitates Punk and sits like him, and warns the camera operator not to shoot up his kilt. Really, Drew? But anyways, he asks the crowd why they chant for Punk, with all the evidence that he actually hates the fans, and the only person he hates more is himself. He talks about how professional wrestling doesn't love him. Well, I'm sorry, Drew's talking about himself this whole time, not Punk. He says professional wrestling don't love him as much as he loves it. He complains about losing out on number contendership before saying he's not complaining and he's entering King of the Ring. So he's also in the King of the Ring tournament. Which then brings out Sheamus. Again, they brought him back with the Written in My Face theme song, which I'm absolutely ecstatic about because I keep saying I do prefer that version more than the Hellfire one he had as a heel, if I'm being honest. But anyway, Sheamus comes out. And he then just starts getting on Drew for whining and coming up with excuses. And it says, Drew's the only person here who won't take responsibility for his own mistakes. He should be standing here with the world title around his waist, but over a meme and a t-shirt, he threw it all away like that. The two of them have partied together, they fought, and as his friend, he needs to tell him the hard truth. A one-armed CM Punk kicked your arse. Drew tells Sheamus he knows how Punk has affected his career, and Sheamus says the obsession is going to take his career down. Drew then says if he wants hard truths, before Sheamus was hurt, it was banger after banger after banger. But now, and I wouldn't have even taken notice, although pointed out, but people have pointed out that they think Sheamus has put on a little bit of weight since he's been gone. I didn't notice anything, but I just don't notice that stuff. But Drew tells Sheamus that since you've been back, while you're gone, it must have been burger after burger after burger. And I'm like, savage, but I'm like, dang. Now I want a burger. I just had one last night, too. But I need to get like a mushroom burger or something like that. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm getting hungry now. Anyways. Sheamus says you should be standing here. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing here. Sheamus does the "he got me" smile, and he laughs it off before giving him credit for getting real good at the one-liners. But he can lose the weight, but McIntyre can't lose stupid. So he needs to stop blaming everyone else. And then Drew says how everyone mocks Sheamus backstage, and Sheamus says he don't care, and Drew says he does because they're friends. He doesn't want to fight anymore unless it's worthwhile, and this isn't. But he's still there for him. So he sits at ringside and watches Sheamus beat Shinsuke Nakamura. So I'm guessing that's teasing maybe like a first round match or something like that between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, or maybe like a... Because again, I still think Drew's going to fight Damian at Clash the Castle. But this could be the start of a feud, maybe for a feud for some down the line too, maybe. I don't know. If they do King of the Ring, though, and they have a match started for King of the Ring, I do think Sheamus, if Sheamus and Drew would fight, I think Sheamus would win. Some some people are thinking that it's going to be, well, spoiler alert, Sheamus is drafted to Raw. And I'm pretty sure Gunther's staying on Raw also. We'll find out next Monday. But if not, I think some people are thinking that the finals could be Gunther versus Sheamus. Which, they've had their classic matches, especially their match at Clash at the Castle in 2022. My only problem is if they would do that match again, I would want to see Sheamus win. Because why would I want to see Gunther beat Sheamus again when it's obvious he has his number? But of course, that would probably be if Gunther still had the Intercontinental title, which of course he doesn't. But that's what I think. Like, it would be an amazing match. Oh, for sure, yes. But again, if it's just gonna be Gunther winning again, why would I want to see Sheamus lose to Gunther again, though? But we'll see. Again, Gunther hasn't been drafted yet. Then again, he could go to SmackDown. Because I still think he eventually will be the one to dethrone Cody Rhodes. So I take that back. I do think Gunther's going to go to SmackDown. Ludwig probably with him. We'll see. But if so, we will go from there at some point. Anyway, so Sheamus won his match. Sami Zayn also had an interview saying he's waiting to hear what Chad Gable says. Bronson Reed shows up and says, "Don't worry about Chad, worry about him," as he wants a title match. And then Sami's like, anytime, any place. And when we turn around and answer the question, Bronson Reed blindside him. So it hasn't been made official yet, but are they doing Sami and Bronson Reed instead of Sami and Chad Gable at Backlash? Because I feel like, I wouldn't mind seeing Bronson win the title. But right now, it feels like that Chad needs it more. Which we will talk about Chad actually next. So, Chad Gable came out with the Alpha Academy. He's in a suit and saying what he did was justified. Him and Sami tore the house down. Sami walked out as champion. And he could accept that. But it wasn't good enough for Sami. Because Sami had to rub it in, waving the title in his face, and even going as far as celebrating with his family. Which he claims that was what Chad was supposed to do, celebrate with his family. And he wasted his time training Sami and a bunch of freaking losers. So he then runs down Alpha Academy for their flaws, like saying how Maxine Dupree is as pretty as a princess, but dumb as a box of rocks. He don't even get him started with Otis, his prized people's number one guy, and I forgot what he said about Akira Tozawa as well. He claims he's proven to himself beyond a shadow of a doubt to be the biggest, he claims that Otis is the biggest disappointment out of all of them. But this is why they signed up for the Academy, right? They have to step up and get on the same page and understand that they're going to focus on Gable now. And they're going to win him the Intercontinental title together. No matter what. And he gets in their faces. He goes, tell me no matter what, I have your word. And all three of them hesitant agree. So, again, I even said this in my Twitter. It's like, I hate the fact Chad Gable's a heel. I feel like, he still could be a face right now. But the story called for it. The story had to make sense. He had to go this route. Sami, got the moment instead of WrestleMania instead of Gable. So why would Chad just sit back and accept that? He has to go this route. And it's looking more and more like he's probably going to be splitting soon from Alpha Academy. Because I feel like that, although they agreed to help him win the title, they seemed reluctant to do so. And I think the next time Chad Gable gets his Intercontinental title shot, I think what should happen is he needs to win. Because if they do a thing, because I thought at first maybe they would do a thing where Chad Gable would have another match, have Alpha Academy help him, they would lose because they wouldn't help him, and then he turns. But I think instead, because I don't think you need to have Chad lose again. What they should do is next time they have a match, which may or may not be a Backlash, It's starting to look like they're going to do Sami and Bronson instead, which, again, I'd hate to see Bronson lose, but, again, I think right now the person that needs to have that IC title belt is Chad Gable. I think what should happen is Chad Gable's secretly not going to trust that Otis, Maxine, and Tozawa are going to actually have his back. He thinks they're going to choke. So that's where we get the stunning turn of events with the Creed brothers turning heel, and they be the ones that help Chad Gable win the IC title. And, of course, that includes Ivy Nile turning heel as well on Maxine Dupree. Which, I think would definitely be a character boost. Because the Creed brothers, they're awesome in the ring. Character-wise, though, not so sure. But I think with their style, they would be very fitting to be with Chad Gable. Again, kind of like a Team Angle 2.0. Or, again, whatever, America's greatest tag team. Like, whatever Chad Gable called a team with, him, Shelton Benjamin, and was it Chris Masters or Christopher Daniels? Like, I can't remember which one it was. I drawn a blank. I know it was Shelton Benjamin and someone else. But, that could, again, that I think is the direction where it should go. And that, of course, will, be a great heel wrestling stable. And again, it'll finally give Gable some momentum with a singles title, as he should have had ages ago, if I'm being honest. But, again, I still hate that it had to go this route, but makes sense. It is justified, but we'll see where it goes. So there's that, and look at that. I'm at 36 minutes. I'm talking a heck of a lot longer than I think I was going to be talking as long as I did. Had a lot more to say about the show than I thought. Anyways, so we have all that happening. And then Dominik Mysterio had a backstage roll up to Ricochet, laughs him off, but says nobody is more upset than Dom is and cleared than he is. Because he was looking forward to beating him. But he and Andrade will settle for his little homeboys. And then Ricochet will embarrass JD on that WWE speed that's happening on Twitter or whatever it is. I don't know. But after that, when Ricochet walked away, Dom turns around and he has a stare down with Liv Morgan. We'll come back to that one at the end. Nia Jax cut a promo about how, oh my gosh, I'm the only monster in this match, so I'm going to win the women's title tonight. Haha. Again, you've improved. Still cringy as hell on the microphone. But, we'll talk about her, of course, as well when we get to SmackDown, because I don't want to spoil anything. We'll keep going. You all know by now what happened. Anyway, so we then had Andrade and Ricochet take on JD McDonough and Santos Escobar. Match was fine. The baby faces do get the win when Andrade hit the Los Sombra on from El Idolo on JD McDonough. Afterward, Damian Priest attacks and lays both them out before turning to Dominik and yelling at him in Spanish. And JD asks what he just said, and Damian says he doesn't need anybody, they need him. So again, still teasing those cracks. We had a backstage. Well, first we had a hype reel for Zoe Stark, as it's coming up on 1 year since she got called up. We have Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell backstage being interviewed, and Candice isn't having any talk of underhanded tactics, but she gets cut off by a brawl between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Referees pull them apart. Becky Lynch rolls through the microphone, basically kind of tries to hype up the match as she makes her way out for the Battle Royale. Then we have the Battle Royale and the main event. Had its moments, had a few spots like Maxine Dupree getting her comeuppance on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, which was nice to see. She also, surprisingly, had a nice back and forth with Nia Jax. And for a split second, they did have me believing Maxine was going to eliminate Nia Jax. It didn't happen, but it came close. So I like that. Again, she showed some signs of improvement in this Battle Royale, which is cool with me. But then there was also, I think, a moment in the match where Nia Jax tried doing a Samoan drop with Pipe. She tried to Samoan drop Piper Niven onto Becky Lynch through the announce table, and it didn't break. I think there was a second attempt, I think of like a manhandle slam or something. I think Becky tried doing a manhandle slam also on Piper, but that didn't work either. There was also a spot I remember where Chelsea Green did get eliminated, but the referees didn't see it, and she just set up and sat on the apron so quickly. It was quite funny. Honestly, I wouldn't have been opposed to Chelsea winning the title here. Because, again, she is not getting out of the park with the character she's doing. So, like, she has all the character momentum backed up for her to be able to win the title. So, I would have been okay with her winning this. But, eventually, I think the final three, were Nia, Liv, and Becky. Nia got eliminated, and it came down to Becky and Liv. And, of course, as most Battle Royales, it was them battling it on the apron. And Becky Lynch gets the win, winning her 7th women's title. First time winning the women's world title since it first came about last year. She won by eliminating Liv Morgan with a manhandle slam off the apron to win the title. So this is probably the big talking point of this review, which again, it's gone on a lot longer, and I thought it was going to be shorter, but it wasn't. I know a lot of people were disappointed that Becky won the title here. And they thought it should have been Liv. I totally see why, don't get me wrong. But just like the thoughts I had 2 weeks ago, whenever Liv did attack Rhea, seemingly sent for a match for Backlash. My thing though was again, as I said then, I feel like you gotta give it a little more time. Because I feel like that Liv Morgan right now, if she was champion how she was right now, I wouldn't think she was at her best. I still think, like, again, with her cutting that promo last week, where fans were booing her for taking out Rhea, and she doesn't understand why. She acknowledges the fans. That was just planting the seeds for her heel turn. I do, and again, also, she did have a stare down with Dominik Mysterio, as I mentioned before as well. So, with Judgment Day probably breaking up soon, there is a good chance, and people are mentioning this too, what if, I don't know how it's going to work now since Dominik's hurt, and he's probably going to be hurt for a little bit, and he probably won't be able to do things physically for a bit because if he gets Tommy John. But, again, what if, though, Dom betrays Rhea for Liv? I mean, maybe they'll wait to do that until it's Rhea, because I feel like it would have more impact to have the reveal of this alliance whenever it's actually Rhea that Dom turns on, rather than having, like, if Becky and Liv would have a match and Dom would help would distract Becky to give Liv the win. But my point being said here is, it wasn't the right time yet, in my opinion, to put the belt on Liv. I still think that give her maybe like another month. Like, she needs like that one or two little pushes. Like, not push, like one or two little pieces of detail, and then I think she'll be ready. I think she just has to, like, again, last week was like the seed was planted. It's starting to grow, but it hasn't fully sprouted yet. She needs just a wee bit more time, like maybe a month or two. Like King of the Ring or even Clash at the Castle. I think it will be time to put the title on Liv. Again, this new character, I think, just has to develop a little bit more. And once that happens, then I think Liv will be ready. But until then, I think I'm okay with the fact they had Becky be the one to get the title for now. It won't be a long reign. Liv will get that title. And eventually we will do Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Which I still think, if I'm being honest, if they do that, I still think Liv should at least win the first match. I still think, because that's the thing, what the cards were on the table. I think if Rhea didn't get hurt, I think Liv would have been the one to dethrone her eventually this summer. Again, this injury angle, it may have just made things even better for the build for this. So, again, I'm okay that Liv didn't win here. Again, it's kind of like that, she's shedding off her old skin and developing a new thing. Again, kind of like whenever Bayley hit rock bottom when she lost her women's title to Charlotte and then went complete psycho that Friday and won the title back. Like, that's what has to happen with Liv. But we'll have to wait and see what they do. And 45 minutes later, when I said I wasn't going to talk long, I did talk long. But that is my review of this past week's episode of Raw. I'm still going to give it a B-. I almost gave it a C+, but I'm going to give it a B-. Again, it was filler, but there was still some stuff that was developing. Like I said, I liked... Although I said before that it feels like a filler feud, I still thought that opening segment with Jey Uso and Damian Priest was entertaining. I do like the idea of announcing of declaring yourself for King of the Ring. It makes you feel special rather than just showing up right. Okay, here's who's in it. Like people who actually want to get in it. Like I'm interested in this kind of new concept with it. So I like that with like Gunther and Drew and Sheamus, as well. Again, I'm not a big fan of them split up Imperium. Again, I'm not sure about DIY splitting already if they do so. Or again, if they do split them, just have one go to SmackDown, one go to Raw. Just like have them go to separate shows. I'm interested to see what happens with Liv Morgan, as I said before. Chad Gable and probably getting the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. So again, there was some stuff, but it just didn't. It was the show that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's one of the best Raws ever. Like, it was okay. It had development, some things I wasn't a fan of, but like, I think it was enough for me to at least say it was a solid show. So again, I will give it a B-. B- for Raw this week. And again, next time, I will maybe have a couple other videos, but I will at some point go live, of course, to talk about SmackDown and night 1 of the draft. And again, I will continue also to get the shorts posted as well on social media, so make sure you stay tuned for those as well. Of course, I'm pretty sure I won't have this shared on social media until after those shorts are posted. But until then, guys, what are your guys' thoughts on Raw? Give the B-. Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comments section below. And be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to come to my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your Saturday. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!